Alright, so hello everybody, welcome back to another tutorial. This time it's a tutorial because I have the code ready, so I won't hopefully make that much mistakes. So we're going to build another project. This project is more like a buffer project. So, we have a main project going on. It's a design of form maker using Django. If you're interested, I'll put the link down to the description below. I don't think I create a playlist for that yet. I should. But it depends on the time that you watch this video. I will try to put at least the first video or entire playlist to the description down below. You can take a look if you want to. Alright, so let's go ahead. So today we're going to work on, we're going to design a NoteSaver. Basically, it's the ability that you can jot down some note. It's going to save locally in a notes folder. It's also going to save note online. Let's take a look how it works. So again, here I'm at Replica, repo.it. Here's the website. So this is an online IDE free for everybody. So what I will do is I will go ahead and create a bash terminal. Bash terminal. The reason I need a bash because I need a terminal but not a Python shell. So I can demonstrate this. And this package, our project is actually going to be deployed to somewhere. Since it's going to be a command line interface, it's going to be deployed to pip. Alright, PyPI, where just pip. In case you don't know that, that's where the Python package management is. Python install package. We'll go ahead and deploy that to the center so everybody around the world can use Python to download your package. Isn't that cool? So I already deployed this. Let me go ahead and install this. So where you can also install it as well. Pip install NoteSaver. Yes, it's going to go through this process. And now I can see install collect package NoteSaver successfully installed NoteSaver 0.0.7. Alright, so now let's take a look at some of the ability of NoteSaver. It's actually a command line interface. We're also going to talk about how to build a CLI with command line interface in Python as well. So here, I'm just going to type NoteSaver. That's actually a valid argument that you can type in your terminal once you install it. And NoteSaver, what I will type first, it's L as a command. L for list. It's just going to list all the notes for you. But now I can see no notes available. Why don't create one? Alright, well, I guess I'll create one then. NoteSaver C for create. Please go ahead and type a title for your note. I will say sample note. Type of content, hello world. Notice it actually supports multi-line. And then once I press enter, now you can see it says done. You can also access your note online. Notice that we use a pastebin API for actually creating different notes online. And I can see we got hello world. Alright? Okay. So finally, let's go ahead and list out the notes again. Now you can see I got the notes. Notice we got a number here. This is the notes ID. Notes ID, that's what we'll be working with when we try to read a note. R for read. Now you can see it said type the ID of the note. If you don't know in command, type L. So you can type NoteSaver L to build all your notes with the ID. And then here I would just type 1. And now you can see the contents showing hello world. And then that's indeed the contents. Notice on the left, a folder being created called notes. This is where all the notes locally will be stored. In here you can see we got a file. There's a timestamp with the title of the notes. And it said hello world here. Alright. So let's go ahead and get started building this application. This application is actually quite pretty big as well. So we're gonna break down into different 20-minute segments, and then we're gonna hopefully can finish building this project in 2 or 3 videos. All right. So I'm just gonna create a new replit. We're just gonna go create a Python replit for now, because most stuff that we're going to be dealing with today is still Python. Alright, so we don't need to install any external dependencies. All the dependency we need is internal. It's not internal, it's built-in dependencies. So we're going to use 5 of them. Going to use what we call datetime to generate a datetime. The reason we need to generate a timestamp for each node is not necessarily going to display this. Though you could display this if you want to, since that's literally part of our title. But more so, is that the title is unique. So that's why we want the title. We want timestamp just to make sure the title is unique. So no certain node is overwritten certain node because it has same title name. All right, and then I'm gonna say from OS import lister maker. All right, we're gonna talk about what these functions do in a little bit. See if we'll get there today. And here is a from os.pass import is file join. Alright, so these are for pass management for your file. If you don't know pass, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And here also import request. Oh, that's actually one of the dependency we need. Import argparse. Alright. Okay. That's weird. I think I need to fix my package, but it seems it works. Okay, either way. So now you can see that we got import datetime from OS import lister maker, from os.pass import is file and join, import requests. That's maybe the only one external dependency we need, and argparse for CLI. Let's just go and click on run. Nothing happens. So no error being found. So that's great. And another good thing about Replica is you don't actually need to worry about manually installing these modules. Some common modules like requests and flags, I think, are actually pre-installed into our Replica IDE as well, so you don't need to worry about pip install it. I don't even think I actually pip installing a Python repo anyway. Okay, another thing about this project is this part is going to be object-oriented, which means we're going to use class. Alright, I'm not going to be really explaining class a lot, so that's like your prerequisites of understanding how object-oriented programming works. Though we are not going to show like a lot of how OOP or object-oriented programming works in this tutorial though. Alright, so first let's go ahead and create a class, which is also, you can imagine, it's our own type. Let's call this NoteSaver. Alright, so class NoteSaver. And then usually we'll begin with the init statement, but there is nothing really we can init about. You could obviously add more init arguments if you want to. For example, the path of the folder, what's your file name, format that you want it to be, what's your datetime format, for example, a lot of stuff that you can add. But to keep it simplicity, because this project is already a little bit more complicated than it's supposed to be honest. So we're not going to worry about all these init stuff like that. So first we're gonna go ahead and create a function called this self pass. So I'm just gonna type all the function name or the method that we need, and I will explain a little bit what are these for. So you can see if I can type description, which I can apparently not. Description. So notice that if you don't know what's pass for, pass is just for a placeholder text for indentation. Title. Def. Fetch all notes. Open notes. We're also in the title for it. So these are these function name are supposed to be a little bit more self-evident, as that's how I actually named them. I'll explain what self means because you can see every method have an argument called self. Some function name though maybe not that easy to understand, but since you see the demo, that should be okay. Let's see. Alright, if you see flip and paper, that's because I'm looking over my source code that I printed, so I pretty much know what to type. Alright, there we go. So we define how many methods? 8 methods. Alright, so methods basically function within a class, within an object that you can use. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. But what self basically means is refer to the object it's going to create for itself. I'm going to talk about that maybe in the next video when we're actually using our application. Alright, let's go and get started with some exchange these paths to some actual code. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do is you can see that we have save note local. We have a self parameter, no worry about that, but we also have title and description. To be honest, description is not really good name. Description is supposed to be like the content of the note. But just type it like description so I don't have like all these discrepancies with the rest of the stuff. Alright, so save note local. What's gonna do is it's basically gonna create a file. So we're also gonna learn how file management works in Python. So it's basically gonna create a file, and the file gonna have the contents in it. Alright, so that's the title for it. So title basically is the title of the file. The description is basically the content of the file. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a try catch. Usually you should specify a specific error, but since usually make dir, if it have an error for make dir just means make a directory, make a folder basically. If you only have an error, the most likely, I think the only reason you're gonna have an error is because we already had that folder, we already have note folder created. If so, then I'm just gonna pass. Don't worry about it. Alright, since if we have a notes folder already created. Alright, and then what I'm going to do now is this. We're going to briefly talk about file management, aka context manager. So, in here we would say with open. We're going to use the F string so we can embed some Python expression in it. Here I say note/title. Whoops. Notes/curly braces title. Title is just the argument name here. And in here we'll open the format like write. W for write. So this is how we can open a file really easier. Using with. And this is simplest of context manager. We're not going to talk about a lot of context manager because I don't even know for sure. But this is basically how could you open a file, read a file, append to a file, delete a file, stuff like that. And using with, it's basically like these context manager. It's using with. You don't have to close the file, I believe, because it automatically closes once you leave the indentation. So I don't think we need to worry about the opening and closing anyway. Alright, so that's good. So here what we're going to say is this. We're just going to say f.write. This is how you write to a file. Notice that we have sf here. So we open this file IO object as f, so you can operate with it. F.write just gonna write. Okay, so if you want to open this file, if you want to write to this file, what do you want to write? Well, I want to go ahead and write whatever the quote-unquote description is, which is the actual content is. Alright? And this function not going to return anything, so we are pretty much good. Again, what's going to happen is it's going to open this file and then change the mode to write. So we can only write to this file. We cannot read to this file. So then here we're just going to says, and they're going to write the description to it. Notice that you might ask, hey, what if, so you are creating file, right? What is it going to raise an error if the file doesn't exist? Well, it's not going to raise an error because how W mode works, or write mode works, is when you try to write to a file, if the file doesn't exist, it will automatically create one for you. All right, so this is pretty easy, pretty simple so far, I would say. So let's go and move on to save note online. Save note online. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a website called pastebin.com. Pastebin.com. Alright, this is our website. Not our website, it's a Pastebin website. It's obviously a Pastebin website, but it's basically a place where you can write some notes, jot some notes down. Similar to like a note saving application note that we made in Flask with Google OS. I'll put that into the description down below if you're interested as well. But let's see. So you have to create an account first. So go ahead and create an account. Then here you should see something like API. Alright, API. Here you'll see this is my unique developer API key. Alright, unique developer API key, of course. I will actually delete this user once I finish this demonstration for the purpose of security. Though I don't think it's actually going to cost me any money, but still, go ahead, register, and use your own API key. And then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to create a new paste. This is the website that's going to send the post request to. Let's read the documentation. Create a new paste, blah, blah, blah. You simply have sent a valid post request. We need to send a post. So to read the documentation, especially like these API, when we want to send some stuff, you need to know, okay, what's the headers, what's the body, and what's the format that it needs sent to. So, or what's the HTTP method. So in this case, HTTP method is post. Didn't say anything about headers, so I'm gonna ignore that. Although usually like they do some authentication via header, but it looks like they don't, so it's okay. It's okay. And then let's take a look. What are some required parameters or required data that I have to send? Well, apparently these are the 3 required parameters. So API dev key, API option, API paste code. Dev key is the key that we saw above. API option set to paste. They were set that they already told us, so that's good. That's nice. We also have, let's see, what's this? So API paste code. So what do we want to paste? So let's now go ahead and take a look. How can we do that? So it's gonna be simple since we just need to send a post request, and then we're gonna use the requests module from Python. If you don't know, requests are really popular for sending HTTP requests for API access. So in here, just say this. We'll just say r equals request.post. Put the link here. All right. And then in here, we'll go specifically set data. So if you don't know what post exactly gonna do, don't worry about it. So there are two, actually, let me just explain briefly. So there are 2 common HTTP methods. One is get, one is post. All right. What's get going to do is just gonna send the information directly through all the URLs. While post gonna securely, maybe not that secure, but at least hidden your information from the URL, so nobody can directly see it. Still, the information can sent to the server. So it's more like you can imagine post is used for whenever you're submitting some form involving your username and password, or something else. All right. So data, then here we provide API dev key. And go ahead and put your dev key here. I'm just gonna copy mine. And then API option, as the documentation told us, is set to paste. And then the API paste code will be description. So that's what we want to paste. All right, we'll actually return something at the end of it. So here it says return r.text. So because you can see that, okay, so now we know how to send it, but one thing we need to know is, first of all, the reason we send it because we want to create a new paste, right? And now what I want you to do is basically I want to know, how can I access a paste? What's the link? Well, to access it, you can see this is a response. Just a text response with a link. So that's easy, because I can just return r.text. You can imagine r.text is just the response that the server gave us back if we authenticated everything, if we did everything correctly. And r.text, if everything's correctly, you can just imagine this is just a link where we can access our paste on. So let's go ahead and run this. Sorry for going a little bit faster because I hope this doesn't take like really long tutorials. This can be really taken to long tutorial if I really go pretty slow, but I hope it doesn't take too much tutorial to go over these. So we're just gonna click on run. Nothing gonna happen. What we'll talk about now is actually to create a new object. To create a new object, that's we created. So we basically want to create a new object for NoteSaver. So NoteSaver is a big object. We need to create specific, more like an actual object that's going to work with. For example, stir. This is a class. This is a type. Class stir, right? Same for our NoteSaver. NoteSaver is also a class, right? But ABC, sternified ABC, is not. It is still stir class, but it's a type that's going to work with. For example, we can use some of the methods such as .upper. That's why we'll go ahead create a new instance of this NoteSaver class. So here I'm just going to say n equals NoteSaver with parenthesis. Alright, and in here then I'm going to say n.save note local. So I want to go ahead and test whether these two parts works or not. So save note local and save note online. See if that work. So in here I'll go ahead and say n.save note local, and in here notice I will have self. Do we need to provide this self? We don't need to provide this self. Well, I can just answer my own question here, but it's alright. Because the self is if you're using a method within its own class, within its own instance, you don't need to provide self. Self automatically is provided. You can imagine like that. Maybe something is complicated going on. I'm not sure, but so you just need to provide title and description. Title is just going to be hello. Description is going to be maybe hi. Press enter. Nothing goes wrong. There's no exceptions. You can assume everything works fine. Now, if you take a look, we indeed have a notes folder because we don't have one before. And indeed, in here, have a hello. Notice that we don't have any file extension at the end. It's okay because this just considered as a raw data text. Alright, maybe in UTF-8 data chart set. And in here, we indeed see the contents. Alright, yay. So this function works. This method works, rather. So let's go ahead and test save note online. See if that works. Hello and hi. And indeed it works. So if we go through the link, you can see that indeed it says hi. So notice that it still says untitled here because it turns out that we need to provide something else if you want to change the title to the to whatever user provided as well. So it's pretty easy to do that. Actually, I will try to do that. This is something that I just added. So maybe here I could just provide this value then. So in here, let's go and say paste name. Maybe then here we can just say title. So let's go run it again and equals NoteSaver and dot save note online. Hi, hello. It gives us a link, so everything works fine. And now you can see the title is also successfully synced with pastement. Alright, so since I want to keep these tutorials short, so I think this will be pretty much that I will cover for this tutorial. Again, what we talk about is briefly how object-oriented programming works, import these dependencies, create the skeleton of the program, we implement a couple methods. Save note locally, save note online. We talk about how file management works briefly, and we also talk about how we can make requests to different web APIs using Python. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, please consider like and subscribe. I appreciate so much of you now joining this community of learners and just learning and helping. I'm also a learner, although I might be more like a teacher role, but I'm still learning from all of you as well and off the internet, of course. But thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to post down into comment below. But yes, so that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Take care.